It looks like Disneyland might be shutting down as a cast member union representing 14,000 cast members has voted to strike. And how many of them have voted to strike? 99%. Looks like something big is going to be brewing at Disneyland. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me are my compatriots from That Park Place, of course, VashSky, and from That Park Place and That Game Place, Mr. Culture Casino. Guys, this is really big news. We don't usually stop everything and stop the schedule to insert one of these in here, but this is a big darn deal. Forgive my language.
It's a huge deal, a massive deal. If a strike were to take place, it would be the first in Disneyland's history in over 40 years. So, pretty big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, huge deal. And when we talk about the numbers, those are the things that took my breath away.
I agree. And let's bring this one in from the OC Register. Brady McDonald reporting here, by the way. There's a nice picture of Disneyland. Disneyland unions vote overwhelmingly to authorize strike. Disney negotiators and union officials are scheduled to meet again on July 22nd and 23rd. I'm just going to tell you That Park Place will probably be streaming on July 22nd to cover this. That would be Monday. Again, by Brady McDonald, Disneyland's largest union coalition overwhelmingly voted to authorize a strike Friday, July 19th, as Disney negotiators and union officials prepare to head back to the bargaining table. I think that's going to be pretty tense at the bargaining table. Union members voted 99% in favor of authorizing a strike in an election held by Master Services Council, which represents 14,000 Disneyland employees from 4 unions. Small point of clarity, and then Vash, I'm going to ask you to take over on the news items here. 14,000 members. That is neither the bargaining committee that did that and not the 14,000 members of the cast. Now, somewhere between whatever the panel is there and 13,860 people. This is an overwhelming number of people voting to authorize a strike. This means that everyone is upset. This isn't the entire cast members of the resort, but it is an overwhelming number of them that are saying, no, we have to do this in order to send a message to Disney that we need higher wages and we need safer working conditions. Usually I'm not very pro-union, but it seems like they earned it on this one. Do either one of you want to bring a little history into some of the reasons the actors recently unionized at Disneyland?
Yes, the actors, the entertainment cast members surrounding, character meet and greets, the parades and so forth, they voted to unionize because really they were looking for, safer working conditions for one, but 2, higher pay in those roles as well. Obviously, you have people who work in the entertainment industry and do Disney as a side gig. So, it's been hard for them as productions have slowed. Obviously, the strike regarding the actors, directors, and writers. Had something to do with that, obviously. But we had stories of a character playing Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy actually having her eyes dyed gray because of the contacts actually used as part of that costume. And we've heard a number of reports suggesting that, that conditions behind the scenes or even on stage aren't the greatest for these cast members. So they felt that they weren't being properly represented or that their grievances weren't being properly cared for. So they voted to unionize. Now, when it comes to these 14,000 cast members, this is a whole separate union. It's actually a collection of them. I believe there are about 4 unions, to be precise. And these cast members, they're your day-to-day operational cast members, specifically for Disneyland. Now, here's the thing, too. California Adventures contract comes up for renewal in September. So that's another thing to keep in mind here. Now, there is some talk that maybe, Disneyland could continue operations in the event of a strike, just very limited, as they might ask cast members from California Adventure to fill roles, at least for the time being. We'll see how that plan actually works because, you can't just come up with 14,000 on the fly, obviously.
Right. So I've heard between 30,000 and 40,000 work at Disneyland 30. Specifically. 30? 30.
No. The total mass for Disneyland Resort as a whole is 35,000.
Okay, so this is
40%.
That is an amazing amount. Okay, so Disney has responded to the actors striking. Well, and it could be complete coincidence, but if we're putting two and two together here, a lot of shows have been canceled at Disneyland in the wake of the actors unionizing there. As they've gotten away, they've canceled the Doctor Strange show. They've reduced the amount of streetmosphere out there, and the Wakanda Marvel in their Avengers campus out there is very heavily reliant on meet and greets and things like that, and those have been reduced. Their culture. I know you've got a lot to say here. Do you want to put your oar in?
To me, it's the giant percentage of casts that are uncomfortable here. And they've been, you have, if you have 99% of 14,000 people telling you there's problems, there's been problems for a while. And you're going to see a lot of support from Abigail Disney and many other people that are totally on board with this, trying to get all these issues, as Vash mentioned, resolve. I don't know what else to add to it than I'm staggered back because of the sheer number of people. At 99% of 14,000, literally 40% of Disneyland Resort employees are saying we're unhappy, and that doesn't leave a lot left. When if they go on strike, you have 60% of your workforce all of a sudden. That's it.
And most of them would be California Adventure people. And the question then becomes, would the California Adventure people be willing to keep Disneyland afloat in order to undercut their fellow union workers over there at Disneyland Resort? Then all of a sudden you start to run questions of, well, what does the language in the contract look like? Are the California Adventure people willing to make themselves essentially scabs in order to keep Disneyland running at low capacity? Also bearing in mind that this represents hotel workers as well. So if you have people staying in the hotels, they're paying even more on top of the Disneyland guests. I can see, first of all, if the parks don't shut down themselves, any idea of park reservations is going to go to almost nothing here. Vash, I'm sure there's plenty of details we have yet to cover here. Do you want to bring us more on the story here?
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and go over to Mouse Planet, who had a big article surrounding this as well. Let me go ahead and get you the name of it. What the Disneyland strike authorization means for your visit this week.
Adrian Vincent Phoenix, and apologize there. Please continue.
No, you're just fine. Disney and the unions are scheduled to meet on Monday, July 22nd and Tuesday, July 23rd to continue the contract negotiations, which have been ongoing since April, folks. They still haven't come into an agreement, and the reason why they're having this strike vote is because, well, the terms have not necessarily been in their favor. The unions have said, quote, a strike is always a last resort, and that they plan to return to the bargaining table in good faith on Monday. The union organizers, they said, if Disney is not prepared to agree to the offer you deserve after 2 more days of bargaining, we will move forward with the actions we need to take and that you have overwhelmingly voiced support for.
I think that's something that we want to emphasize here. 99% of workers authorizing a strike. It's more than just you got it and you now have that in your pocket. This sounds like a lot of people saying, no, we would rather be without pay for an extended period of time, an unknown indefinite period of time, than let these wages and conditions stand for how they're standing right now for these cast members. That's making a lot of people angry in order to get almost a unanimous vote.
Yes, I would say so. A lot of people are angry. I believe the guidance given by Mouse Planet here in this article is basically saying, okay, if you're going to Disneyland in the next couple of months, just, make sure you have a refund policy in place for your visitation, for your hotel stays and so forth, because, literally this could pop off at any moment right here if they do not come to an agreement on those dates set. And this is now making more and more national and in some cases international news. We have this headline out of CNN Business: thousands of Disneyland workers vote to authorize a potential strike. It would be the first in 40 years by Natasha Chen here. And the BBC has decided to write about it as well. Disneyland workers say they live in cars and motels due to low pay. Obviously, you have some local coverage as well. This is becoming a far bigger story here, and I believe the reason why they may have voted 99% in favor of a strike is because I think not only the conditions involved in order to create this, right, what they're asking for to have created this situation, but I think also too, like I said, in 2021, there was a vote on the new collective bargaining agreement between this series of cast members and Disneyland. And they weren't the most favorable terms, and it only just barely passed. And like I've said before, there was some hanky stuff regarding that vote. I think a lot of people from that time remember that. And now they're looking to get theirs for sure, especially in the wake of all the Hollywood strikes over there in Southern California.
Now, culture, I'm going to mention something, and then I think there's something that here that you might be able to comment on. We have seen documentation within the company that indicates that 50% of the cast members have changed since around 2020, whenever pen trading stopped. That was a Disneyland thing as well, correct?
Yeah, you can do pin trading in both parks.
Right. So at this point, we're seeing people who have come in within the last 4 years that do not have Disney experience. Everyone has Disney proximity in their lives because of the effect on the culture here.
Right.
But do you think that this would have happened had 50% of the company not been basically new cast members with a less of a focus on traditions and things like that? Traditions being the Disney orientation program.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that most assuredly did influence the direction that we're going. The newer employees are going to have less tolerance and also less experience with what it has been the predominant culture at Disney up until very recently. At this point in time, I don't think most people realize this, but the majority of the people that work for the Disney company, the 55%, in fact, are women, with 45% men. You have, which is a shift. They've been driving different things for different reasons. Some of the people were forced out of positions, whether it be obviously Disneyland or Disney World. But there's a lot of people that don't live up to and or understand or appreciate the standards of the company prior to the last, well, as you point out, 4 years. I would suggest maybe going back even farther than that, but it didn't get accelerated until the global crisis 4 years ago.
And let's not forget, too, the attendance policy was forced to be changed because of, some of the people that they brought into the company's ranks who were abusing those systems that they had put in place specifically at Disneyland itself. I believe there was a frequent, violator who had violated the attendance policy, I think 60 times or something. Yeah. And Disney couldn't do anything about it because of their very lax attendance policies that they had for this specific resort before. And now they've had to change them, offering less flexibility than they have in the past. That's a big contributor to this as well. So to Culture's point, I think this has absolutely had a profound effect on this. I did some math here, and we talk about a lot of Disney's flops, right? Or where they're investing money, where they're wasting money. And I did a little math, and if you add up maybe, let's say, $400 million for Snow White. Again, this is based on what we've seen before for the other productions. It could be as high as that. If we take 400 for Captain America, Brave New World, and then $200 million for The Acolyte, that's about $1 billion right there. $1 billion could have added $3 per hour to every one of these employees that are striking now for about 100 days. And so, this waste of money absolutely has consequences. Now, people might say, 100 days doesn't really get you that far. Well, perhaps. But if they were to, let's say, invest $1 billion into the parks, drive attendance to the parks in a way that they did not do this year, then maybe they wouldn't have had to give those ticket offers that heavily discounted the price to get in, and maybe they could have passed it along to their cast members. Again, all of these things have consequences.
Yes.
Well, that's the other thing, and this is where we probably should start wrapping up this video. This is the last thing I want to talk about here is obviously the movie making business for Disney does not make money. Even in its best years, Disney ran that as basically an ad for their merchandising divisions. And of course, their merchandising division is part of the parks experience and what you could do at the parks based on these intellectual properties. The focus on intellectual property is something that, somehow Universal has always done that better than the Disney company has. Disney used to say, here's all this nostalgia. We will help you realize that nostalgia into a present experience with your family here at our parks. And now they're very focused on what is the most popular, most recent thing that we have, and we're going to put that in the parks. At this point, that engine, that creative engine, the start of the flywheel is broken. So they are not making money there. Streaming has been an amazing drain on the company. Media networks, which is, of course, part of streaming is part of media networks because that just puts cable in there right now, not doing so well. The only thing they have that's fully profitable more than the parks is the cruise lines.
Yes.
Within the parks, 70% of their revenue comes specifically from parks right now. It should not be that way. It should be 40%. But right now, it is the thing that is subsidizing the rest of the company. Of course, also the rest of the parks outside of the United States. So Disneyland Resort right now ranks number 2 in profitability for resorts for the company. And right now that is about to shut down. It also, in the fight with Nelson Peltz, they made it very clear that the parks are profitable, all the while telling cast members that they couldn't pay them more money. This is the consequences of vigorously defending against Nelson Peltz and saying, no, we make tons of money, and all of these people suffering at the same time. I think that's how you get a 99% vote to strike. Also, the quality of the parks have gone down because of that 50% change, not doing a good job on traditions and lowering cast member standards at the same time. Guys, is there anything I'm missing there? Go ahead.
One last thing, because this is very important and should not be missed. This will have ramifications for the city of Anaheim, because it's not just the people that are employed directly by Disney at the Disneyland Resort. There are about 32,000 estimated jobs that are supported by the Disneyland Resort, which includes the Good Neighbor hotels and the restaurants and everything else that's in that area. So you're about to impact all of those entities, all those jobs as well, if you have a strike. So I don't think that can be overstated. I think that it's important to understand that entire part of Anaheim, which is a profit center, huge revenue for the city, is going
Remember
to
the earnings call.
evaporate.
The earnings call comes up on the 7th, and D23 Expo is right after that on the 9th of August, right there. I would expect 9th, 10th, 11th. Sounds like big strike days. I don't know about you guys.
No, perfect.
Well, yeah, and since we are talking about timelines right now, most of the park is shut down. So it shut down during D23, which is supposed to be, quote unquote, the ultimate fan event for Walt Disney Company parks, specifically fans. This is what an amazing disaster here right now. And the stock price is below 100, which is probably where it needs to be if it's just a theme park company, but it's not a theme park company. It is, in fact, the largest entertainment company in the entire world, and it is struggling in such an amazing way right now. But of course, they are, quote unquote, turbocharging these parks. All right. Well, enough ranting. I need to say we're going to be covering this on T3PO, which is our live show, which is directly after the pro show on Tuesdays. We, depending on how things go, we're probably going to have a live stream on Monday to talk about this. Stay tuned to this channel. You may want to hit the notification bell or follow us on Twitter. I'm at Jonas J. Campbell, at VashSky, and at Culture Casino. We're making it pretty easy for you on finding those. They're, of course, in the description box down below. This is breaking news, of course, and we're going to be covering it, and we might even have some people on the scene for this one. So this is a big deal, if I'm not emphasizing that enough to you all. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is usually these union votes are a lot more complicated, but that 99% to me says it's not that complicated to the union members. Like this video if it's been helpful to you at all, or if you want to support this channel. And of course, if you really want to support us, you should consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.